I'm joined by ESPN's Chris Berman. You know, it's funny, in this industry, there's so much turnover over the years. You are really sort of in a unique footing of being at ESPN and for so long. And you've worn so many hats there. You've been Sports Center anchor in NFL Primetime. You did play-by-play for Sunday Night Baseball. You've done, golf, hockey. I'm just curious, what is your favorite job?
All of the above. Is that E in our test,
all
Alex?
Of the above.
So, look, to make that answer make sense, through all the years, we did Sports Center, and of course I did football, and I did baseball, I did golf, but Sports Center, and of course ESPN never had a Super Bowl until the next one, but we go cover the Super Bowl, and we go cover the NBA championship, we go cover the World Series, you go cover the US Open golf, that's it. So, if you're at a network, a big, three-letter network, if you didn't own the rights, you weren't going. Now, Olympics, I personally never went to, but and that's a whole other story. But because we were at ESPN, we got to cover all the sports.
Yeah.
So if you like sports rather than, hey, I'm a football guy, it was the only place to be. Now, I didn't go cover all those things, although a lot of them I did. And, I'm so much emboldened by it. So that's where I get all of the above, because I kind of feel like I did cover all of the above, even though you're not announcing the Super Bowl or you're not announcing Game 7 of the World Series. We were as Howard Cosell used to call it, we're in the candy store.
I want to zero in on one of those things, which is NFL Primetime.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you know the relevance that show had on people of my age and my generation. I'm 43. Mm-hmm. That show, you could not... So I grew up a 49ers fan in New England. You couldn't always watch the games at that point. So the only way to know if the 49ers had won or not was for me to watch your show and wait on the edge of my seat until you cut those highlights packages, and then to a unbelievable soundtrack where I learned how to play all those songs on the piano as a kid.
Attaboy.
I listened to
love
you
that.
And Tom Jackson do this thing. How was that show? What is the genesis of that show? Who decided you two guys with this chemistry, with this type of announcing, with this music soundtrack?
Well, it was on my professional tombstone, wherever it is, and they could have got rid of me years ago, but too late. Was not in the meeting, obviously. Steve Bornstein, who became our president, was not yet the president. Pete Rozelle and the league were hammering out our first NFL 8 years in, 1987, pretty early in our Ross Perot graph. Dating myself, but I am an American history major.
Right. So that was in the NFL Primetime.
Right. So 87, we're going to get Sunday Night Football 8 games, the last 8 games of the year. And Steve went to Pete Rozelle and his folks and said, we have an idea for a 1-hour show, but we got to be able to run unlimited highlights. It's on for an hour. We're going to have commercials. They're going to say hello. But for that hour, there is no time limit. There is a time limit on any station running any highlight other than the show. And Pete Rozelle said, really? You really think people will watch that? Well, it will lead into the Sunday night game, although in September and October there was none. To your point, you saw 3 games. We're seeing 14 or 11 or whatever the number was.
Right.
Pete goes, well, and I don't know this for a fact, Steve told him, we're going to throw the ball, and I got the guy to throw it. And that was apparently me. I was not involved with that at all. And so Tom Jackson had just retired from Denver. He beat out 7 others for the audition to be our football player analyst. Could have been anyone else. And he and I went blind, and our primetime crew, and we're doing this show, and we're pretty early in our ESPN years. Did the tape ever run backwards? Probably. Oh my God, this game's not Arizona. Arizona would play Seattle, 45-42. It's still going. We got 10 minutes. We're run it in, it would end, and you would never see that, and it was the best game of the week. So I'm giving you a long answer that I shouldn't, but I respect it because people don't understand. 80s, 90s, even 2000s, you got 3 games. There was no, NFL ticket. There was no red zone. There was none.
How did you develop your style? I mean, you have such a unique style with the player nicknames and the energy. Was that just sort of a natural thing, or did
Organic? That's me. If you've met me, you've met me now.
Yeah.
Kind of the same.
You were coming up with player nicknames off camera.
Sometimes a guy would do it, but if we, here's a highlight, so I'm not facing into the camera, delivering a comedy line at a comedy, stage.
Yeah. So it
just would enhance it.
A natural wordplay with players' names.
But that's not the primary reason for why primetime worked the way we did it. Well, you had the main reason. You're seeing games you never saw.
Yeah, but
even if you saw the
production was so flawless.
The best.
Yeah.
Listen, because it was fun. Everybody on the show, the people you'll never know the names of, people who I haven't worked with for 30 years, people who I work with now, because we still do it with Booger on ESPN Plus. We all love football, whether you're running the camera, whether you're me, whether you're a producer. Let's give them the football. We don't have to have an opinion all the time. We're showing the highlights. And for me, I've always felt doing highlights, do it like it's live. Don't assume you have seen, even though it's the Dallas-San Francisco, and you watched that game. That was the 4 o'clock game, right?
Yep.
Do it anyway. Don't assume the viewer has seen it. So if Emmitt Smith, heaven forbid, as you and I are Niners guys, or Joe Montana was going to throw a touchdown, let the ball get caught. He's rolling right. Touchdown. Don't say he's going to throw a touchdown here.
Right.
Let me see it like it's live,
right.
Even though a lot of people have seen it already.
Right.
Do it like it's live. And therefore, don't pin every needle, which I have, but do it like you're announcing the game, because the people at home, they may have forgotten that, and they want their 1 hour meal of the day. Give it to them, serve it hot.
So you can't recreate the vibe of viewers that do not know the outcome of a game watching this thing real time. That doesn't exist anymore in a social media era. And of course, in the 80s and 90s, ESPN was a bigger fish in a smaller pond of consumable sports media. Those days have changed. And so this is, I think, I'm going to ask you bluntly, are the days of is the heyday of ESPN's cultural relevancy behind it?
Well, not behind it. Obviously, we have to evolve like everything else. I mean, cable was, no one's going to spend $20 to get cable in 1980. 36 channels, I get 5. Why would I want 30? Think of how much money we spend on TV now, right? And we don't even know what channels we have, and we never watch them. So the relevance is I still believe, maybe not all the time, but the people do want to sit down, even though they know most of it. And you can dial up the 60-yard pass on your phone of the Arizona-Seattle game that you're living in Massachusetts and, you never saw. Okay. Give me the hour. Give me the meal. Yeah, I saw some of it, not all of it. Oh, yeah, that's right. That led to that. Oh. There's still a relevance for that, at least our show. And SportsCenter, too, to a lesser degree, because everything's so immediate. So by the time SportsCenter's on, it's a February NBA game, and here's a three-point shot in the Oklahoma City-Boston game. But okay, fine. I mean, you have to show it. But no, the relevance is there. Dependence is different. Relevance is still there. Is that fair?
Yes. It has the star-making of ESPN, though, changed from... in a way that bothers you to some degree, in the sense of, I think it used to be where you've got Keith Olbermann and Craig Kilborn or Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen or yourself. Like, these guys are up there, they're writing their own material, they're creative. Now it seems like, because of the engine of social media and algorithms, that it's much more hot take oriented in order to get your name out there. Does that bother you?
It doesn't bother me, because if we wouldn't put it on if that's the appetite at 10 in the morning and at 1 in the afternoon. We're still showing highlights from back then. Maybe that's not the way to go. Personally, I'm 70 years old. It's a little different. I don't need takes all the time. But talk radio was always there. So, not always, but do I need 8 hours of it? Nobody's sitting watching all 8 hours anyway. It doesn't bother me. It's different. I wouldn't be comfortable having a hot take for 3. I get, like Steven. I know how hard he works. I haven't seen Steven in quite a while because he's Stephen A. Smith. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He has takes, and it's like he'll say them, and he might say them loud. I mean, I'm not the quietest guy either. That was an interesting point. Chris Berman, don't necessarily want it from everybody for 8 hours. But again, somebody's lunch break is different than somebody's lunch break on the West Coast. So maybe that's the appetite that people have. It wouldn't be for me. I wouldn't be the Chris Berman that you see and hopefully enjoy if that's what I had to do. But we did what we felt we should do at that time. Would a young guy, this is interesting because I haven't thought about this. If I were a young guy making my way in the business and was doing okay, if I had to not adapt and be somebody else, once you're an actor or an actress on TV, you fail.
Yeah.
You failed. People can see. Maybe not tonight, they'll see it tomorrow. I would have to adapt some because I can't be a guy that still plays cassettes. Even though one of my cars still has a cassette player. Okay?
Grateful Dead.
Well, even, all of it. Although I'm afraid to put the tapes in there and snap, but I have one. But I would have to adapt. It wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't be the me that you know off TV. But that's okay. That's the way the river's going. Don't be oblivious to it, but still do it your own way.
ESPN just struck a deal with the NFL. The NFL now owns 10% of ESPN.
Hard to believe.
You are a journalist at heart. Does that bother you at all? Is there a conflict of interest baked in there?
I don't think so. 10%, what does that mean? I don't think the NFL, I don't think ESPN, I don't know, I wasn't part of it. I don't think the NFL, okay, if we're going to own 10%, here's the handbook, here's the 3 pages that thou shalt not, thou shalt. I don't think that happened. Okay. And if it did, I'd be really disappointed in the league as much as I am our place for agreeing. But that's not the way it goes. The lines have been blurred a lot of ways. This is an obvious, whoa, ESPN, NFL, 10%? I don't think that has a stake at all. I'm not saying that's a bad question. I'm not saying it's okay, let's see how it goes over 2 years.
Sure.
All of a sudden we can't say he dropped the ball? I mean, I'm kidding, right? No, he actually tried to catch it. Can you say it differently than he fumbled it? But I'm kidding. No, I don't think so. I'd be shocked if it was any dictation of that way.
It seems fairly clear the NFL wants an 18th regular season game. We're seeing now this fairly dramatic expansion of international games. I start to talk to players about this. They don't seem all that happy about it. I'm curious, do you think the NFL is maybe pushing too hard to maximize revenue?
Well, you could say that. Do I think that's the case? Roger's goal is from all the owners, let's make as much money as we can. I mean, that's also fair.
Which is his mandate.
It's his mandate.
Yes.
They pay him really well. He's a great guy. I've known him since long before he was that. And he's a regular guy. That's his mandate. Good way to put it. So it's not going to be now we don't want to do. The 18 games, okay, I don't know this for a fact. We might have seen it by now had Damar Hamlin not almost passed
Interesting.
away on the
you
field.
think that's a real pivot point potentially, the Hamlin injury?
That was a quiet down. Because they were already talking, and none of those things get accomplished unless you have 3 or 4 years of, we got to get the player. Let's redo our deal. Now the contract runs out in 30 or 31. So at this point, it's okay. They'd hoped to get it in, I think, by now. But after that, the public outcry, you want them to play more games? NFL's not blind. Those optics would have been horrible. Do I know this for a fact? No. This is Chris Berman, observer.
Yep.
Let's quiet it down for a couple of years. So now it's back. The real impetus is 9-9. So everybody plays an international game, which Melbourne is a par 5, okay, from the United States. That's all I'm going to say.
Sure is. 18-hour flight or 15-hour.
It's a long way to go to play a division game.
Yeah.
The Rams against the 49ers.
Right.
Okay, I don't know how many jerseys you're going to sell. Probably a lot there, but whatever. Paris, we're going to sell a lot of jerseys. That'd be the one I'd like to go because I speak French, but that's just me. But the 18 games allows the Super Bowl to be played on President's Day weekend. The 18 game, and everybody would have Monday off. Nobody would have to call in sick. Oh, I got something. Come on, okay. So it truly would be a national holiday, which it is anyway. That's the plan. 18 regular season games is more money going to each team. But how are we going to pay it to the players? Well, I'm making this up. 58-man roster. Cap goes not to here. We're going to get more jobs.
Right. Maybe 2 bye weeks.
Yes.
Like yeah.
Well, no. Then
then the schedule,
they don't want to start.
But they can decrease a preseason game.
Well, no, they're going to. They're going to have one each.
So if you start
2.
a week earlier,
well, they don't want. They don't want to start on Labor Day weekend. So if you give you're starting. We're going to have the Wednesday in Melbourne because, by the way, you got to get back. You know, the Chiefs. I can't blame their demise on they went all the way to Brazil. But just consider the Chiefs played at Brazil, and so did the Chargers who won the game. And they played the Eagles and they lost. And they played on a year before every day of the week except Tuesday. These are human beings. You're going to fly them from Rio to Melbourne and you're fine next week? Or we're going to give you 10 days? I'm concerned. I'm not saying how dare they, but the mandate, correct word, it make more money. But I think now that won't be a factor until whenever the deal comes up because they have to get the players on. They had an 8-year deal. Maybe we can wedge this in 4 years in. Not going to happen now.
Last question. Disney has a new CEO, Josh D'Amaro. Ever met him?
Real quick. Last year in the box at the Super Bowl, I'm going to meet him, as we speak, Super Bowl week at the end of the week. I'm excited to see him.
Do you get involved in the ESPN business?
No. The minute I do that, I'm driving in the wrong lane. They don't need me involved in the business. Look, Disney's been unbelievable benefactor. I did tell our president, Jimmy Pitero, when they were foolish enough to sign me, I'm going to be here 50 years. I said, you may never have another guy or woman here, I don't know. You got to have a gold Mickey Mouse watch in somebody's drawer that you can give to me when I get to 50 years in 2029.
Are you planning 50 years and then I retire, or you'll go on for
well, I'm signed through that season, and I'll be almost 75. I think the nation's more than had enough of me. So I'm not. Look, I'm semi-retired now. I'm just so proud of where we've been from day one to getting a Super Bowl. And if helping us being better is having an NFL own 10%, but us get to do more with football, which is every year I've been there, is this, and it's not stopping, well, it probably makes good business sense. I'll leave that to the professionals.
Boomer, Chris Berman.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
A Niner fan from New England.
Maybe next year, talk about the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Very possible. Very, very possible.